What's up, kid? Hector Rico here. In this video, uh, if I was trying to be funny, it's probably like I'm picking on men. Because it's just been a weird month. Basically, I just seen like the writing on the wall. Generation Z, like millennials, you're done. You have nothing to look forward to. You really don't. And first, I'm gonna tell some stories and some examples. Then I'll go further into like detail. I'm an old dinosaur. And maybe it's a Texas thing, but me and all my friends, we grew up watching that movie, Urban Cowboy. And it seemed plausible, just like any other American dream that they try to sell you. It seems kind of realistic. That movie, Urban Cowboy, it seems like everybody kind of wanted to at least try to grow up and live out a life similar to John Travolta's character. Because, I mean, it's a pretty cool Texas lifestyle he has. And some of my friends actually pulled it off. Because there's a lot of oil refineries and stuff like that, oil fields here in Texas. In my 20s, I had this one friend of mine that basically I had gone through something really horrible, and I found this old friend of mine that, even though he screwed me over, I mean, he had changed because he had gotten like a DUI or a DWI, and it really calmed him down. It really humbled him because he had a PO for like a year or two. He always had to like just stay sober or he'll go to jail or worse. And yeah, he had paid at least like, at the very least, like more about $10,000 because of that DUI. And before that, a few years before that, maybe he had like a fragile ego, but this dude had a reputation that, let's just say it took like 3 minutes. It doesn't matter how ugly the girl is. It took 3 minutes to get inside of his head and fully manipulate him. And we're all laughing at him, and we would all tell him, but he lives in a bubble. He lives in a safe space where he just tells himself lies. And a lot of people are like that. But, I mean, it is what it is. And, yeah, that was like his downfall. Well, somehow, I don't know how, he wound up with this one girlfriend that lasted him like a few years. And that was rare because this dude didn't really have like long-term relationships. And I mean, she was really, let's just say she was really blue-pilled. But you know what I mean by that. She was really blue-pilled. She went to college and majored in something that made no money. And she had this big ego about it. And I mean, he was a good guy, dude. He was a provider. He he actually decided to stay with her when he got her knocked up. And but a few years prior before that, he would not have done something like that. But I guess he wanted to grow up. You know, he was just tired of being a little kid. To me, it always stood out. Like, especially like in the whole Latino community, if a guy stays single, he'll get used to it. He'll coast. He'll burn out. He won't care. But if he's married, like if they're both equally yoked and they're both like working at like you know, improving every facet of each other's life, they'll make it far. They'll have wealth. And they're rare, but you see relationships like that, you know. And I guess that's what he was thinking too. And me and this guy, we had one thing in common, kind of like we both basically had like the same type of parents. Like his mom was Jewish, my mom is Jewish. His dad's like a native, like they're both Mexican, but like if you look at at the dad's skin tone, it's not necessarily brown, it's not necessarily red, it's somewhere in between. But he came out white complected, I came out dark. But if we grew our hair out, we would both have the Jew fro. One day, one day, when she was still pregnant, she was somewhere else, I forget where, but it was just me and him at his own house. And he set me aside, and he didn't have to tell me. He always joked around about it, but he knew that just in case, like basically he told me like just set it up. He doesn't think his wife was going to stick around for a lot of reasons. And he was always like asking me, look, man, if she leaves, he's absolutely going to need me to move in and just help out with like with budgets and stuff. And I told him, I was like, look, dude, if I move in, I'm not going to drink. I just, I just can't drink. And because we were always drinking, we drank a lot. And I told him, I was like, look, like I laid it all out for him. I was like, look, I could make you budgets. His mom worked at a bank. So a lot of these things I told him finally started making sense. They finally started to sink in the reality. And I told him straight out, I was like, look, this is what your parents did that most people should be trying to do. Your parents built what's called generational wealth. They owned a lot of like property and houses and stuff. Generational wealth that they could pass down to him. And the guy admits, he said it, man. He's like, ambition skips a generation. And I told him, I was like, look, man, like your dad, he has like this trailer, like not like a RV, but like this trailer you could attach to the back of a truck and you could haul stuff around with it. I told him, look, if it ever came down to it, we could pool our money together and we could get licensed and bonded to start like our own little company and just let it keep growing. You know, that way we could be like our own boss. And if you ever want to sell your half to me, I'll just buy it. Like he saw like my ambition. He saw a lot of these things. He started to realize how like money's more like a tool than anything. And Needless to say, he didn't like it. And every now and then I'll see this look on a man's face. He knows that the bad karma is all about to come back and hit him. Because he like spent a lot of years as a drug addict, doing a lot of bad things to people. And he was even trying to tell me, look, Hector, just basically like no questions asked, don't judge him. But he wants me to show him how to read the Bible, which I did. And maybe like a month later, we had like a fallout. Like we fell out, we stopped talking to each other. And I haven't spoken to him since. And that was like maybe like 10 years ago. A lot of people, usually the blue pilled people, they don't want to they don't want to progress in life. I've seen that a lot of times. It's like that movie, that $1 Million Baby or whatever it was with Clint Eastwood. There was a girl in that movie that she had bought her mom a house. Her mom didn't want the house because all the mom knew how to do was just live off welfare checks. She didn't want the daughter to buy her house. And the daughter freaked the hell out, but she couldn't change these people. You can't change people, like especially when they're set in their ways. Some people are just happy being poor, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like that other movie I saw, that the Jersey Boys, where Frankie Valli was saying that like even though he was like this big time musician that made all this money, his mom just wanted a washing machine because they had immigrated over to America. So everything they had, it wasn't much, but to them it was like this big deal that they didn't have these things in the other country. But she didn't want a car. She didn't know how to drive a car. She just wanted a new washing machine. And I get it. Like, I understand it. Like, like, some people just don't want to leave where they're at. I met a lot of truckers like that, that, they spent their whole adult life in the 18-wheeler. Or if they did get a girlfriend or a wife and they took her out of the hood, they probably got divorced later because she just wasn't used to anything outside of that. People gravitate towards what they're familiar with. It could be a house, a relationship, a job, friendship. Like me, on my dad's side of the family, they were all truckers. My dad was a trucker. So I just wanted to be a trucker. I gravitated towards that. Guys, we're at the point of no return. I see how bad it's going to be for Generation Z. It's going to be really bad. You guys are going to wind up with nothing. Like, have y'all guys ever seen that movie Ready Player One? How they live in that movie? They live in these shipping containers with just like a TV and maybe a bed or a couch or something. And all the shipping containers are stacked on top of each other. That's how they live in China and India. Pretty soon America is going to look like that. And all they do all day, they just wear like this virtual reality headset. They're just on the internet all day. They have no idea what reality is anymore. They used to call it the working class hero. What they were referring to was a man that was never going to retire. He was going to have to be able to work the whole rest of his life. Jobs used to offer you things. Careers used to offer you things. Like you would pick a career and you'd be able to retire with it. Like they used to offer you all these like insurance and benefits and all these things. That doesn't really exist that much anymore. I mean, it could, but it's getting rarer and rarer. And like I see the housing market, it's horrible. No one's going to be able to afford a house. And the it's bad because like the millennials don't see the severity of these things. They don't know how crucial these things are. The scariest thing I saw this month, and the reality is like still sinking in. I had heard about this, I just never actually saw it in real life. They call it co-parenting. I saw this mom and this dad, and you could tell they were both divorced by the way they were like communicating with each other, like barely talking to each other. And they had like a 18, 19-year-old daughter like sitting with them. And she knows that she don't take either one of them seriously. And she just had like that whole, she had the same eyes as like Billie Eilish, as Amy Winehouse. This girl is a train wreck. And she thinks it's funny as all hell. I see like this is what the elites wanted. They not only wanted to like destroy the nuclear family, they want your kids. Who saw that video where they're like at a pride parade and all these people kept chanting, "We're coming for your children. We're coming for your children." Why would you be chanting something like that? What does that actually imply? And like like I said, I feel bad for Generation Z because they'll be empty-handed and they don't even know it. And it's weird the times that we're living in. Sometimes this really scares me. But you just got to take it one day at a time. Be very careful when you start hearing propaganda and slogans and stuff. Who does it profit? What's that thing they say? They say delusion is the solution. That's the complete opposite of being stoic. I mean, life is a bee, but I deal with it. Be stoic. Delusion is not a solution. That's horrible. Just just be careful out there, man. Like I've never seen a lot of these things and they're just getting worse. Stuff is getting way out of line. Stuff is escalating to something really bad. Don't be surprised if in this lifetime there's going to be a civil war again here in America. And I don't believe in like conspiracies and stuff. Just you just see the writing on the wall for a lot of things. Take care of yourselves, everybody.